Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing really well. So here is part 5 of this sped up cheetah tutorial. The full real-time version can be found over on my Patreon, where you'll also get access to over 100 coloured pencil animal-based tutorials where you can learn advanced techniques to help develop your realistic drawing skills. So for this short tutorial, I've left the line drawing and the link to part 1 in the video description below so you can follow along from the start if you want to. As usual, I'm starting with the base layers using a buff titanium luminance pencil and a raw umber 10% luminance pencil, just to add an initial base layer for that golden fur. With the dark sepia polychromo, I'm mapping out where all those patterns are in the fur, so just all of those spots and dark areas, I'm just kind of shading those in with a medium pressure. Shading in the same direction as the fur as well, so it all kind of flows nicely. You can then go over the same area using a warm grey 5 just to darken them further. Using a warm grey 2 with quite hard pressure, I'm almost smudging out the edges of those darker spotted patterns so it merges with the surrounding fur, creating a much kind of softer feel. At this point, I'm building up the layers in the lightest parts of the fur using a variety of vibrant colours in quite a subtle, delicate way to keep adding to that softness. If you want to achieve that fluffy texture to the fur, it's important to keep applying layers quite lightly. So I'm using a mixture of the shades Cream, Bee Street, Dark Flesh 40% and Raw Umber 50%, as well as the Walnut Brown, just to build up those golden tonal values. To create a deeper contrast, I'm going back in with the dark sepia and the black with a much harder pressure this time to really darken those spotted patterns in the fur. I'm going in quite heavy-handed in order to squash down the tooth of the paper to eliminate that grainy texture from the paper underneath, just so it has that really smooth finish. You might need to go over the same area quite a few times. In terms of the edges of each of the spots, I'm kind of flicking out and releasing my pressure as I approach that lighter fur. If you keep small gaps in between your lines as well, this can also start to add to that detail as well. I'm using the French grey 30% to help blend out those edges. Caran d'Ache luminance pencils are perfect for blending and just smoothing out layers. They're quite a soft pencil anyway, as they're predominantly wax based, so they are literally perfect for that kind of thing. With the walnut brown, I'm adding little touches of colour here and there just to deepen those golden tones. It's a lovely rich kind of chocolatey brown colour, so it's perfect for those shadows kind of underneath the chin, and it'll keep those colours quite warm. At this point, it's all about bringing out that detail, drawing in individual wiry wispy hairs coming out of those darker spotted patterns. You almost want to kind of elongate some of those hairs. If you kind of draw in your lines in like a squiggly motion, being quite quick and random with it, it does really add to that realistic kind of fuzzy, fluffy fur texture. One colour I love to use when drawing animal portraits that are this kind of golden sort of colour is the brown Pablo pencil. I don't actually use many Pablos, but this is one of them that's so rich and vibrant. It gives the fur that kind of burnt orangey deep red colour, so it's just perfect for kind of adding depth and really helps to capture the lighting that's bouncing off the fur. I'm using the green, gold, silver grey, raw umber 50% and the slate grey to keep building up those mid-tones, adding subtle touches of colour here and there. I'm adding a few more layers of the warm grey 5 under the chin to darken the shadows. And sticking with the darker colours, I'm working into the fur, bringing out more of that detail, drawing in fine lines to represent the individual hairs. I'm going back in with the warm grey 2, using it on the edges of that darker fur on the left, just to give the illusion that the fur is thicker and softer, by lightening the fur at the tips and shading in between that dark fur to make it look a little bit more dense. If you want to take that realism element to the next level, I'd highly recommend using the craft knife slice tool. I've used this throughout the entire drawing so far, and it's basically a little ceramic blade at the end of like a pencil type tool, so you've got maximum control just like you would have with a pencil. But you can use the subtraction technique to lightly scrape away the layers that you have down so far and draw in those highlighted hairs. You're almost like pulling out those highlights and adding fine hair details that you wouldn't be able to achieve just by using the colour pencils alone. I'm also using it for the whiskers, making sure I'm flicking out at the end and releasing my pressure to create that wispy line. To intensify those whiskers further, I'm going in with the fine nib Uniball Posca pen just to brighten that white a little bit. So I hope you've enjoyed this short tutorial. Like I said at the start, the full-length, in-depth version is over on my Patreon if you'd like to draw this cheetah yourself and learn kind of coloured pencil professional techniques for taking that realistic element to the next level. The link to my Patreon is in the description below. If you found this video helpful, then please remember to like the video and subscribe to my channel to see more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.